During World War II, one of the most defining acts of home front survival wasn't done by soldiers, it was actually done by families. When the threat of aerial bombardment loomed over major cities like London, Liverpool and Birmingham, a massive evacuation began. Children were packed onto trains with small bags, gas masks and identity cards, leaving behind their parents, homes and, well, everything familiar. This was known as Operation Pied Piper, and it became one of the largest and most emotional civilian movements of the entire war. The idea was simple but, honestly, heartbreaking. Move children out of the cities, away from targets, and into the safety of the countryside. By September 1939, as war broke out, nearly 1.5 million people, mostly children, mothers with infants and teachers, were evacuated across Britain. For many, this journey marked the first time they had ever left their hometowns. Some were excited, treating it like an adventure. Others cried for days, terrified of strange places and strangers. The countryside received these evacuees in waves. Villages, small towns and remote hamlets suddenly filled with city children, many of whom spoke differently, dressed differently, and, honestly, had never seen a farm animal in their lives. They were billeted with host families, ordinary rural citizens who were asked, sometimes a bit reluctantly, to take in children they had never met. Some of these pairings turned into lifelong bonds, others were strained by class differences, culture shock, or just the sheer stress of war. The government provided instructions for both hosts and evacuees, but reality was far messier. Children arrived with name tags pinned to their coats, clutching small suitcases or paper-wrapped belongings. Gas masks were mandatory, carried everywhere in cardboard boxes. Teachers accompanied their classes trying to keep order amid chaos, and yet, for all the planning, confusion was everywhere. Some children were sent to the wrong towns, siblings were separated, and honestly, many didn't know when, or if, they'd ever go home. Life in evacuation was a new kind of normal. City children learned to milk cows, pick vegetables, and help with chores. Nights were darker and quieter, no traffic, no air raid sirens, no searchlights. But the war still reached them in letters from parents in rationing that touched every household and in the knowledge that their homes might be gone when they returned. In London and other cities, the Blitz would later prove just how necessary the evacuation was. Bombings flattened entire neighborhoods, destroyed schools, and killed tens of thousands. Those who escaped to the countryside were, quite literally, saved by distance. Not all experiences were happy though. Some children were mistreated or neglected by host families, while others felt crushing loneliness. For parents, especially mothers who stayed behind, the emotional toll was immense. Many wrote daily letters, praying they'd arrive safely. Some never saw their children again, killed either in bombings or accidents far from home. Yet, even through the heartbreak, the evacuation stood as one of Britain's most powerful collective acts of protection. By the end of the war, millions of children had experienced evacuation in some form. When they finally returned to their cities, they found places that were often unrecognizable, streets in ruins, homes gone, and the familiar replaced with rubble. But they also returned stronger, wiser, and with memories of a countryside and people they'd never known before the war. The evacuation of children during World War II wasn't just about survival, it was about the endurance of hope and humanity under impossible conditions. It showed that even in a world at war, where bombs fell from the sky and cities burned, there was still a will to protect the future, to keep children safe so that life could begin again once the darkness passed.